Most people think emotional intelligence is about being kind, about being patient, about knowing the right thing to say in a difficult moment. But here is what the research actually shows. The clearest demonstrations of genuine emotional intelligence are not found in what a person does when things are going well. They are found in what a person refuses to do when they have been genuinely hurt. Because pain is the real test, and the behaviors that emerge in the aftermath of being hurt reveal, with more accuracy than almost anything else, the true level of a person's emotional development. Stay with this until the end, because the fifth thing on this list is something that most people not only do, but believe is the healthy response to being hurt. They have been told it is healthy. They have been encouraged to do it. And it is quietly making everything worse. What you discover about that one behavior may change how you handle the next painful thing that happens to you. The first thing emotionally intelligent people never do after being hurt is immediately reach for communication before they understand what they are actually feeling. Notice the word immediately, because the timing is everything here. When most people are hurt, the first instinct is to address it, to say something, to send the message, or make the call, or have the conversation before the emotion has finished doing what it needs to do. This feels like it should be the right thing because we have been told that communication is healthy and that silence is avoidance. But there is a critical distinction that most people never make. The difference between communication that comes from understanding and communication that comes from activation. Emotionally intelligent people know that the nervous system, in a state of fresh pain, is not a reliable source of the words that will actually serve the situation. And so they wait, not to avoid, not to punish, but to understand what they are genuinely feeling beneath the first layer of reaction before they allow that feeling to produce language that cannot be taken back. This is not silence as a weapon. This is silence as a tool of precision. The second thing emotionally intelligent people never do after being hurt is make the person who hurt them entirely responsible for making them feel better. Pay close attention here because this one is more complicated than it appears. When someone causes pain, the natural human response is to look to that person for repair, for the apology, and for the explanation, for the change behavior that would restore what was disrupted. And while accountability in relationships is genuinely important, emotionally intelligent people understand something that most people spend years not learning. That making your recovery contingent on another person's behavior places your emotional well-being in the hands of someone who has already demonstrated they are capable of causing it harm. They regulate themselves. They find their own footing. Not because the other person owes nothing, but because waiting for someone else to feel okay is one of the most effective ways of remaining unable to feel okay for as long as they fail to deliver. The third thing emotionally intelligent people never do after being hurt is build a case. Think carefully about this one, because it is more revealing than it sounds. When most people are hurt, something cognitive activates alongside the emotional pain. They begin to collect evidence. They replay history. They find every previous instance that supports the story the current pain is telling. They build, methodically and often unconsciously, the most compelling argument for why what happened to them is as significant as it feels. And this feels like clarity. It feels like finally seeing things accurately. But psychologists studying rumination and its effects on emotional recovery have found that building a case keeps the wound open in a very specific way. Every piece of evidence retrieved and examined is another activation of the original pain. The case never reaches a verdict that provides relief. It only produces more evidence, more pain, and more certainty about a narrative that may be capturing something real but is not capturing everything real. Emotionally intelligent people feel the pain without constructing a prosecution. The fourth thing emotionally intelligent people never do after being hurt is outsource the processing of it to everyone available. Here is where things get truly important. In the immediate aftermath of being hurt, the social instinct is to tell people, to call the friend, to text the group, to share what happened with anyone who will listen and affirm. And this feels like support seeking, which is supposed to be healthy. But there is a difference between genuine support and what psychologists call co-rumination, the process of repeatedly going over a painful event with multiple people in a way that amplifies rather than processes the emotion. Emotionally intelligent people are selective about who they process with and how much. They choose one or two people whose input genuinely helps them think more clearly, not people who will simply confirm the version of events that keeps them most securely in the position of the wronged party. They understand that broadcasting pain widely does not heal it, it performs it, and performance is not the same as processing. If this is finding something real in you, something about how you have handled past pain or how you are handling something right now, this channel is built for exactly this level of honest examination. We do not traffic in reassurance here. We traffic in precision. Subscribe if you haven't already, because the next two things on this list are the ones that the most emotionally sophisticated people protect most fiercely, and the ones that most people would never think to identify as problems at all. The fifth thing emotionally intelligent people never do after being hurt is use the pain as the primary lens through which they evaluate the relationship or the person who caused it. And this is the one. Because everything in the culture around emotional health says the opposite. It says, trust your feelings. It says, your pain is valid, and it is telling you something true. And both of those things are correct. But emotionally intelligent people make a distinction that most people are never taught to make, between what the pain is accurately reporting and what the pain is coloring beyond accuracy. A nervous system, in acute distress, does not produce a neutral assessment of anything. It produces an assessment that is weighted toward confirming the threat it has already identified, and decisions made from that assessment about who this person is, what this relationship means, whether to stay or go, or forgive or close, are decisions made from incomplete information by a mind that is temporarily not at its most accurate. Emotionally intelligent people wait. They let the acute phase pass. And then they evaluate from a place that has access to more of the truth than the pain alone was capable of showing them. And the sixth thing emotionally intelligent people never do after being hurt is perform recovery before recovery has actually happened. This is the subtlest item on this list and the one that produces the most quiet, long-term damage. Most people, when they have been hurt, arrive at a point where they decide they have processed it sufficiently and that moving forward is now appropriate. They say they are fine. They act as if the wound has closed. They perform the healed version of themselves in their relationships and in their own internal narrative. And because the performance is consistent and convincing, even they begin to believe it, until something similar happens again, and the response is larger than the situation warrants. And they cannot understand why. Emotionally intelligent people do not perform recovery. They do the actual work of it, which is slower and less presentable, and does not produce a clean before and after narrative but does produce something the performance never could. A person who is not carrying the unprocessed weight of old pain into every new situation that resembles it. Here is what the research ultimately shows when you look at all six of these together. Emotionally intelligent people are not people who feel less when they are hurt. They often feel more. What is different is the relationship they have developed with the feeling. They do not immediately act from it. They do not outsource it or perform it, or prosecute with it, or let it do the evaluating before they have had the chance to think clearly. They feel it. They understand it. They process it with the kind of honesty and patience that most people find genuinely difficult, and then they respond from a place that the pain informed but did not control. This is not something people are born knowing how to do. It is something that is learned. Usually through the experience of doing all six of the things on this list, watching the outcomes, and slowly, over time, developing the kind of relationship with their own emotional experience that produces something different. It is not easy, but it is available. And understanding exactly what to stop doing is always the beginning of understanding what to do instead. The question is not whether you have done these six things. The question is which ones you are still doing, and what becomes possible when you finally stop. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.